It's a gray, rainy day in Iberville Parish. 29-year-old Curtis Cochise Smith is spending a quiet day with family.
It was a normal day. I was at home.
Cochise was in the process of trying to acquire some diapers for his baby, and he had contacted his boss, and he was trying to get some money to go make sure he could make that run for the baby.
He did say he got $10 to get some diapers for the baby.
The grocery store is less than a mile away. But 1 hour later, Cochise still hasn't returned.
We went out looking for Cochise. We checked where my mom's house was. We checked in the cane field and stuff like that. But turned up nothing.
Cochise told that family, if anything ever happened to me, go find Tommy. Tommy Francis come from a very wealthy family. Tommy had family that were elected officials. But Tommy was very manipulative, very conniving. He could sell a burning man gas. Just the type of person he was. But Tommy also had some problems with domestic violence. Tommy knew who he could pick on. Tommy picked out a certain group of people that he would control and threaten and abuse.
The sheriff's office learned that Cochise had been making some calls trying to get some funds, and we speculated that he had contacted his boss, Tommy Francis, and he was trying to get some money to go make that run for the baby. The trail left us with Cochise missing and Tommy Francis one of the last people that saw him. On March 5th, the sheriff's office decided it was time to talk to Tommy. And we brought Tommy in. Then he told him, I saw Cochise earlier that day. He hadn't been here in a little while. He wanted to borrow some money from me.
He was very cooperative. As a matter of fact, they did a search warrant on the place. They found nothing. They couldn't find anything they could hang their hat on. He walked around with them and he said, oh yeah, check this, check that. I got nothing to hide, I didn't do anything wrong,
We've run down all the leads, and we have a grieving family, but we don't have a lot of direction for the law enforcement to go in.
By the summer of 1991, leads have vanished, and the Cochise case goes as cold as the blood of a bayou alligator.
On March 9th, the sheriff's office received a call from a woman, and she said that she had some information about the Cochise case.
She had a beauty shop, and this guy would just drop in at any given time, day or night, and he would call her and make threats toward her.
And she said he talked about how he might have killed Cochise.
In the hopes of getting Francis to admit killing Cochise, Diet agrees to wear a wire.
Then you loaded this thing by yourself.
I mean, he was actually laughing. He was talking about how they would never be able to connect him.
Can't prove I did. Why are you so confident about that? Well, once the reason I'm confident, I know they ain't gonna never find it. What about that guy's parents? They should have told him not to steal and come me.
He told me the whole damn story of what he did, word for word, gruesome detail.
Authorities make the decision not to arrest.
They didn't have a body. No body, no crime.
6 long years go by. Then, the police get a possible break.
In 2001, Tommy was arrested and brought into the Iberville Parish Jail.
And then, lo and behold, he gave a full-fledged admission to what he had done. So Tommy says Cochise actually shows up to the house comes in the house and pulls a gun out of him.
And then I saw him pull a gun out, took off, ran in the hall. And I grabbed my gun. My gun was in the closet. And I shot at him.
Tommy at that time is now claiming self-defense, but Tommy had enough time to retreat to the bedroom, come out with a rifle, so that didn't even make sense.
I put Cochise in the barrel. I put a weight in the barrel, just a couple of metal weights. I backed up and I pushed it out in the water.
And he said he watched it go to about midway of the bayou.
The barrel sunk about 10, 15, 20 feet out, something like that. But no, I got back in the truck and I left.
With no body, however, Francis is ultimately released from prison.
Blackman City Police received a call from a woman who said she hadn't heard from George Barrett since the 2nd of March. She sent her 15-year-old son out to look for him.
George Barrett was found laying on the floor with a single gunshot wound to the head. The light bulb in the bedroom was unscrewed. It had a pull cord to turn the light on and turn it off instead of a wall switch. There was no forced entry. There was nothing out of place. George knew who killed him.
It was learned through that investigation that he, too, was an employee of Tommy Francis.
You know, hey, if it walk like a duck and it quack like a duck is a duck.
They're waiting on fingerprint analysis from the light bulb, waiting on ballistics, wanting to find a gun that may have shot the bullet, but they couldn't locate anything.
13 years pass before a random encounter reignites the Cochise case.
We went through all these statements. We started finding these people and finding who's still living, and then we bring them in and say, okay, we'd like to re-interview you.
Arlene Randall was a lady who Tommy had a relationship with. Tommy ultimately told Arlene Randall that he had killed Curtis over a stolen air compressor and that he was pretty angry about it, and that's how he was going to get his justice. He was going to be the judge.
George was actually suing Tommy for a few thousands of dollars because he was hurt on his job, but of course Tommy doesn't have workman's comp insurance.
Tommy told her he's not gonna come to court, he's not gonna make it.
I talked to George and I said, please be careful. You don't know who you're dealing with. I said, I'm telling you, George, please don't turn your back.
They gave us a motive, Tommy Francis. He would have a motive to murder George because he didn't want to have to pay George. We was able to establish the fact that Tommy had another mistress by the name of Melina Goche. He had told her what he had did to George and how he went in through a back window and he laid in wait. He had unscrewed a light bulb. The investigators had found that the light bulb was loose, making the house dark for when George came home. The light bulb information had never been released to the public.
So the only person would have known that would be the person who unscrewed that light bulb. And that would have been Tommy Francis.
25 years after Cochise's disappearance, Tommy Francis was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder.
While in jail awaiting trial, Tommy Francis is diagnosed with cancer.
I remember getting the call and the fact that he passed away in prison, and it was kind of like, you know what? Look, you was gonna have to face Judgment Day anyway.
My mother died without knowing what happened to her son, her baby, Cochise. She never found her.